Schwarzenegger didn't just show up. He erupted onto the stage like a walking explosion straight out of a summer blockbuster. No filter, no fluff, just pure heat. The man came in swinging, dropping hard truths like dumbbells in a crowded gym. One by one, those liberal panelists scattered, wide-eyed, stammering, looking like someone just pulled the fire alarm on their talking points. He wasn't here to play nice. He was channeling his inner Terminator. Stone cold, calculated, and absolutely relentless. If you're sick of Schwarzenegger didn't just show up. He erupted onto the stage like a walking explosion straight out of a summer blockbuster. No filter, no fluff, just pure heat. The man came in swinging, dropping hard truths like dumbbells in a crowded gym. One by one, those liberal panelists scattered, wide-eyed, stammering, looking like someone just pulled the fire alarm on their talking points. He wasn't here to play nice. He was channeling his inner Terminator. Stone cold, calculated, and absolutely relentless. If you're sick of sugar-coated nonsense and ready for commentary that hits harder than a steel punch to the jaw, then smash that like button right now because things are about to blow up. You are an immigrant. You're an immigrant in this country. Did you have a visceral? You do that? Let's get real. Arnold might be the most iconic immigrant story America's ever seen. The man showed up in the US at 21 with nothing but dreams and grit. No fancy family name, no handouts, just pure, uncut ambition. He didn't just make it, he dominated. From breaking every record in bodybuilding, to becoming the king of Hollywood blockbusters, to running the fifth largest economy in the world as governor of California. Who else can flex like that? His journey ain't just inspiring, it's straight up legendary. While others complain about the system, he bent it to his will. While critics whined, he worked. And now he's still out here, unfiltered and untouchable, reminding every single thing. If it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America. That's true. And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world. And this is the land of opportunity. Arnold didn't come to dance for ratings, he came to tear up the script, torch the talking points, and speak his truth with no filter. The man went off script from the jump, and not by accident. This was strategy. He started by pouring his heart out about America, what this country meant to him, what it gave him. You could feel the crowd shift, cheers erupting, heads nodding. It wasn't just a speech, it was real. Every word hit different. You could see it in his eyes. This wasn't for clout, it was personal. He called out the dream, the grind, the promise of freedom, and the right for every hardworking immigrant to chase that dream. It was emotional. It was raw. It had the whole studio in the palm of his hand. But here's the twist. That heartfelt moment? It wasn't the main course, it was just the setup. Just the wind-up before the hit. Arnold was loading the clip, and nobody saw what was coming next. What he dropped next didn't just shake the table, it flipped it over. The crowd gasped. The hosts froze. And suddenly it wasn't their show anymore, it was his. Right at the tail end of that clip, you can see it. Sunny Hostin trying to jump in, practically lunging to shut Arnold down. Her face said it all. Tense, stiff, clearly panicking as the conversation veered way off script. For a moment, it looked like Arnold was going to echo their carefully crafted narrative. But the key thing also is, at the same time, that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know? So you got to do things legal. And those people that are doing illegal things in America, and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to aim. But then he flipped the whole thing upside down. Cool as ever with that signature calm swagger, Arnold reminded everyone on camera and at home that there is a legal way to enter this country, and that's the only way it should be done. No shortcuts. No excuses. Didn't matter if the hosts agreed. Didn't matter if the audience squirmed. That was his stance, and he stood 10 toes down on it. You could feel the energy shift. Applause fading into silence as the weight of his words landed like bricks. Arnold didn't show up to dance around the truth. He showed up to drop it. And just when they thought he was done, boom, he came with another truth bomb. One that sent both Sunny Hostin and Joy Behar scrambling to recover. Arnold made it crystal clear. If you come to America, come ready to respect the law, appreciate the opportunity, and contribute, not violate the system. No sugarcoating, no spin, just straight talk. And honestly, it was about time somebody said it out loud on national TV. And this wasn't just Arnold's opinion pulled out of nowhere. The numbers back him up. A 2023 report from the Department of Homeland Security revealed that over 56,000 non-citizen immigrants were arrested in Texas alone for crimes like assault, drug trafficking, and even homicide, across just a few years. Illegal immigrants face charges for more than 250,000 criminal offenses. Facts don't lie. And when Arnold speaks, people listen, even when it burns. That definitely wasn't the story The View wanted to push. But Arnold wasn't there to read their script. He came with his truth and he dropped it like a hammer. Clear and direct. Immigration is a privilege, not a free pass to break the law. If you step into America, you play by America's rules. Anything less? It's straight up disrespectful to the country that gave you a shot. And to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do, rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that, so that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has, in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back. Then came another verbal gut punch, and this one hit hard. The panel looked shook. Faces tight. Silence thick. But Arnold wasn't backing down. With calm conviction, he broke it down. Immigrants shouldn't be out here thinking only about what they can take. The real question is, what are you giving back? He locked in on that entitled mindset, calling it out without hesitation. He reminded everyone watching that true appreciation isn't shown through words. It's shown through action. Respecting the law. Giving back. Honoring the chance you were given. And then he hit them with the million-dollar question, one that cut deep. He wasn't throwing shade at immigrants, he is one. But he wasn't going to sugarcoat it either. He challenged the room, the audience, and the whole nation with the question no one wanted to answer. The silence that followed said everything. Schwarzenegger's words weren't just a critique, they were a wake-up call. A bold challenge to the nation, wrapped in hard truth. It wasn't just about policy, it was about principle. He held up a mirror, forcing everyone to take a long, uncomfortable look. You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America, and to pay back to America, and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics, or whatever it is. Make this country a better place. And like clockwork, Sunny Hostin couldn't tack. Did you catch her hand shoot up? It was instant. A clear attempt to shut him down the moment he started tearing their precious narrative apart. That's what happens when raw, unfiltered truth collides with carefully packaged talking points. It gets awkward real quick. Then came the pivot. The classic one. Sunny dropped the old line. Well, American-born citizens commit more crimes than immigrants. You could almost feel the panel exhale like, shoot, maybe that'll turn things around. But Arnold wasn't having it. That argument? Straight up deflection. It's the oldest move in the book. Muddy the waters, spin the numbers, and hope the audience doesn't notice the dodge. But here's the real issue. This isn't a scoreboard for criminal stats. It's about whether or not we respect the law, period. Whether you're born here or not, the standard has to hold. Excuses don't build strong country doors. Arnold wasn't trying to win a debate. He was trying to remind everyone that, and if that makes people uncomfortable, maybe it's because it hit a little too close to home. Here's the real issue. Illegal immigration. Just entering and staying in the country without permission is already breaking the rules. You don't need a laundry list of extra crimes for it to be a problem. And deportation? It's not about revenge, it's about keeping the system legit. But the left? They'll do anything to blur that line into oblivion. They twist stats like pretzels just to protect their narrative. Cherry-pick data, out-of-context claims, whatever it takes to keep people confused and emotionally triggered. But Arnold? He wasn't buying it. He fired back hard, and he didn't stop there. He even called out California's golden boy, Gavin Newsom, and exposed the chaos under his so-called leadership. Keep things clean, and to make my bed, and to do everything that is the right thing to do, rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. Well, don't forget, there's a 90% of the people who come here are trying to do the right thing. They're less likely to be, And a lot of what's happening right now is people are getting snatched who shouldn't be snatched out of the country. People who have visas, people who have all those things. So we want all the right people. We don't want people who are doing bad stuff. But they are less likely. Immigrants are much less likely to commit crimes in this country than actually American-born citizens. And the other thing I just wanted to say is that Governor Newsom did not ask for the National Guard to come to, the federal government to come to California. There are 9,000 local law enforcement officers in California. Let's be real, Gavin Newsom has locked in his place as one of California's worst governors. Instead of leading with logic or unity like Arnold did back in his day, Newsom leaned all the way into the chaos. He didn't back the law. He didn't calm tensions. Nope, he backed protesters, gave cover to illegal immigrants, and in one of the wildest stunts ever, straight up dared President Trump to arrest him. That's not leadership, that's a show. That's playing dress up with people's lives. You can't light the match, toss it into the crowd, and then act shocked when the flames spread. Real leaders calm the room, protect their people, and think before things blow up. Newsom? He waited until the fire got too close to his own door, then came stumbling out with a weak response that was way too late. And Arnold? He saw it coming from a mile away. By the time things started unraveling, it was too late. The damage was done. California didn't end up with a steady leader at the wheel. It got a political arsonist who lit the fuse and tried to moonwalk away while the flames spread. Gavin Newsom talked a big game, but when the fire hit, all he had was smoke and mirrors. But just when you thought the heat couldn't rise any higher, the view panel went for one last swing. If you were governor right now of California, how would you be handling the ongoing crisis that the state's facing? Well, I think the most important thing is, when you are in a leadership position like that, is that you are inclusive and that you work together with everybody. And so it means that you have to work together with local government, the state government, and the federal government. They have to work together rather than fighting each other's agendas and all that stuff. That doesn't do good to anybody. They weren't done yet. They wanted their pound of flesh. So they pulled out what they thought was the knockout punch. The National Guard debate. A topic that sends shivers through mainstream media rooms. You could tell they thought they had him cornered. But Arnold, he wasn't sweating it. Not even close. As the tension thickened, he stood his ground, calm and firm, like a man who's seen real storms. And then he dropped the real bomb. He publicly defended President Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard during the protests. That's right, he stepped right into the forbidden zone. The kind of subject guests are usually warned not to touch. Goldberg physically reacted, that nervous shuffle, the stiff jaw. The National Guard is under the governor's supervision. That's right. But like, for instance, when the National Guard was sent to Iraq during the Iraqi War, I was not the one that said, "Oh yeah, go to Iraq." The Bush administration came and said, "We need those people." They came to me and said, "We need the resources, we need the equipment, we need the weapons, we need the vehicles to ship to Iraq." And then they ship. It's the coordination. That's why I say it is very important that we work together. It doesn't matter who is asking whom. The bottom line is, we work together in order to solve the problem. They once stood tall as the voice of tolerance, but now the panel on The View looked more like the enforcers of a one-sided echo chamber. The same hosts who championed open dialogue were suddenly choking on it the moment Arnold brought real talk into the room. It wasn't just awkward, it was exposed. Arnold wasn't yelling. He wasn't grandstanding. But every word out of his mouth was a curveball they couldn't catch. He challenged their narrative calmly and confidently, and it rattled them to the core. You could see it. Joy clutching her notes, Sunny cutting in mid-sentence, Whoopi giving side eyes like someone had broken a sacred rule. But Arnold didn't blink. He made it crystal clear. Disagreeing isn't hate. Having a different opinion doesn't make you the enemy. And that's exactly what made them so uneasy, because in a world where outrage is currency, Arnold refused to cash in. Instead, he stood his ground and reminded everyone that the foundation of real democracy isn't in safe conversations. It's in honest ones, even if it makes people shift in their seats. The panel tried to spin it. They tossed out statistics, vague references, emotional appeals, but it all bounced right off. Arnold wasn't there to spar with feelings. He was laying down facts, and each one landed like a brick. What shook them the most wasn't what he said. It was that he had the guts to according to a woman who came from Somalia, because President Trump had a military parade. But this goes deeper than that. For Ilhan Omar, of course, there's not much about traditional American values that she does like. She is constantly sounding off about the evils of American colonialism, American capitalism. A group of people have been brought to our shores over the course of the last 50-60 years who really despise the country. And that is one half of the equation, not immigrants, Shapiro clarified.